Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
This is the Geek Fruit Podcast with Jishnu Tejas and Dinkar.
And welcome to a very, very special episode consecutively. Even the last episode was quite special because we spoke about Daredevil and that was a big deal for us. But if there is such a, even bigger thing as Daredevil Season 2, it's this week's episode on the Geek Fruit Podcast with me, Tejas, Jishnu, you, and Dinkar.
Hello.
Hi, Dinkar.
Hey, how's it going?
We called you in because this one requires more than two heroes to discuss it, just like BVS does. Ha! Am I right, guys? Batman vs. Superman. Dawn of Justice. That's the episode. Pretty
Nice
much.
reference.
No, nerds. No,
unless you were gonna go
nerd.
Right? You could have gone like no.
I ain't no rapper.
Yeah,
I ain't no gangster.
Yeah, I know you don't. You didn't even know Snow's song.
Yeah, what?
Informer by
What
the hell is that?
I
still don't know that.
Down. How
I
do
still
you
don't
know
know
that?
that.
How do you not know Informer by Snow? Anyway, this is irrelevant.
Yeah, this is.
But
we should be starting this episode with Batman's parents dying, right?
Batman's
parents die at the start of everything. So
yeah, pretty much like everything has to begin with Batman's parents dying. But I have a crazy fan theory which I'm going to save for you guys at the end of this episode. Which actually
better be good.
It's good. It's so good, guys. It's so good. I've already tweeted and mailed it to IGN.
What?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I mailed IGN as soon as the first episode. The first time I saw the movie.
Did you mail from your personal mail or Geek Fruit?
I mailed it from my mail and I told them about Geek
Just
Fruit.
look at this guy.
Yeah, because it's my opinion. We're going to find out
what
everyone's
is wrong
opinion.
with you taking credit for your own ideas?
I know, it's crazy. It's
Why
almost
can
like...
we not share the glory?
Okay, but we have a chance for all of us guys to kind of not share, but have our own opinions. And I think we have all three different takes on the movie. We're not going to talk about the movie just yet because it's so big, guys. We can't even start. I mean, last time I was just listening to the Daredevil episode. And it was like, it was so much to get into. We spoke for like 10 minutes about everything except Daredevil. As in we spoke about the marketing of the thing. We spoke about how we watch Netflix. And this is pretty much what we're doing right now. So, but before we get into it, is there anything you guys want to talk about? How was your week, guys?
I don't want to talk to you about anything.
How was your week, guys?
It was good. I want to talk to you guys about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, same. So do I.
Well, save it for another time. This is neither the time nor the place to talk about stuff.
But there is one thing I definitely want to talk about.
Uh-oh.
Actually, there are two things.
Uh-oh.
One is the producer of our show, Vagish, is no longer going to be with our show for some time. So we should just take the time to say thanks. Yeah. So thanks, Vagish. Thanks. You can say welcome from here.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
sweet.
Hey, cameo.
That's right. Cameo.
It's been a geeky ride. Thank
Yeah. Cool. And
He wrote
yes,
himself.
but
Wrote that by
he's
himself.
going on to greener pastures, and literally because some of them are on a football
sports field. We know about sports.
We know about sports also.
Their fields are green sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
So he's got a show called The Fan Garage, which is also on the same network, which is Indus Fox, and it's basically
If
he talks about.
by some miracle you like the kind of stuff we talk about and kind of like manly, sportsy things as well.
Yeah, it's possible.
Then hey,
sure, it's possible.
You're a swell guy.
You're the center of the
Or
Venn
girl.
diagram. Yeah,
You are that 1%.
The 1%.
Yeah.
Oh, 1%? I think it's one guy.
They're
It's just like
100 listeners.
Wagi standing
His
there in
name
the
is
middle of that
Vagish,
Venn
yeah,
diagram.
exactly.
So yeah, so you should definitely check out Vagish's podcast, and his Twitter handle is Papi Manav, which is
Spell it.
PAAPI_MANAV. Yes. Okay.
One
cool,
more
so I got
time?
it. No, I'm good, man.
Okay.
You can just rewind 30 seconds. Okay, that's the first thing I definitely want to talk about. The second thing is that we got some fan mail, and we not just any fan mail. We got the fan mail.
Damn, son.
That was
Some feelings were being felt.
So much feels. Oh my gosh. I would like to just read a small excerpt from it. It was basically from this guy called Sriram Mahajan, who's actually a big fan of this podcast and you and me.
Evidently.
And he basically sent us a really, really long email and about how he said, we're doing God's work, son. I'm just going to read that part out. So he's like, on behalf of every estranged Indian geek out there, would just like to say, you're doing God's work, son. Keep it up. So that's awesome. He hasn't seen Star Wars and he thinks we're going to judge him for that. We quietly judge you in the corner, but it's fine. It's fine. It's totally cool. You can be a nerd and not love. Can you be a nerd and not love Star Wars?
Of course,
Or
possible.
not have
Yeah,
it-
of course.
No, I mean he says he's not seen Star Wars. It's not like he doesn't.
Did he mean the originals or did he mean
He
Force
says, I have a
Awakens.
confession to make. I'm not really that big into Star Wars
So he's
before he
seen
hunt
it.
me down. So he may have seen
So
it.
he's not seen Force Awakens.
I'm going to give him the benefit
I
of the
will-
doubt.
I will
he's
infer
not
that.
that big into Star Wars. I'm assuming he's seen it and he's not
yeah,
that
that's
big
fine.
into it.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, Sriram, maybe you ought to give it another one.
Hey, the Blu-ray is out.
The Blu-ray
so
is out. That's true.
I watched
it
the
is
hell
out.
out of that. I cried at a completely different point.
Yeah, you mentioned. Yeah, you said.
Yeah.
When was
Would
it
you
again?
care to wager a guess as to which point I cried?
Where Han
It's in the first-
way up
It's in the first half.
First half.
No.
In the first
I
half.
got very
Yeah,
damn
even
close.
I did,
Of course,
yes.
I got very close with that one, but no. I was straight up like balling.
Yeah, I
at a
know.
different
And you
point.
won't believe it.
In the first half.
Yeah, the
okay.
first half.
No, wait. Go for it.
The TIE fighter escape when Poe and Finn break out,
Yeah.
because it was so remnant, obviously, of Luke and Han and the Falcon. And what was great about it was knowing that obviously the chemistry is amazing and we love them and they're fantastic, and that scene alone was great. But it was knowing that even though Han is now dead.
That was for you, Sriram.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Shit. Oh, crap.
Okay, spoilers. Spoilers alert. Everywhere. Spoilers everywhere.
We're
Sorry,
gonna
go
get
ahead.
swiftly replied with a hate mail now. But no, even though so Han dies and the thing, and it was like, oh, that sucks, and you cry because there's no more Han, and what are you gonna do? It was the exact opposite of like, this is only the beginning for these two. Just like how it was with Luke and Han in Episode 4. It's like, these guys are great together. I want to see 2 more movies, and they gave us 2 plus 1 extra called Force Awakens.
that's
That
true.
is that is a very intellectual sub where you're like thinking 3 movies.
Movies
ahead.
ahead.
I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm seeing a beautiful friendship starting up.
That
It was
is-
like,
that is quite nice. Yeah, that's interesting.
true.
It's like the end of Casablanca.
It's-
but
yes.
at
Yeah.
the start of Force Awakens.
Exactly.
Oh my god, I can't believe you're mentioning Casablanca. I was just. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
guys, I'm not that big into Star Wars. Don't judge me.
Okay, cool. So, basically, I just want to say we should all say a big, shout out to Sriram because he's awesome.
of all the podcasts and all the internet and all the world,
And all the internet he
he
found
had
us.
to walk into our podcast.
Yeah.
Did anybody
And
get
there's
that? Did
enough.
Anybody get
Yeah,
that?
yeah. And
Okay.
there's
Jesus Christ.
and there's enough room in this town for more than one.
One fan.
One
yeah.
fan, yeah.
Hey guys, there's more
There's
room
lots of
for
room, guys.
fans,
There's
is
lots
what
of
we're
room.
saying. So
Space is endless. Okay, cool. So thanks, Sriram. Please keep writing in, and we will reply to you soon. Yeah. So if you haven't already, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a short break. And then we're going to talk about Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. There's a lot to talk about. And we're going to get into how we watched it because I think that's kind of crucial about when and how we did this. So we're going to take a short break. And before we take a break, we're going to say in 1 second, what was your opinion on Lois Lane? Go.
my opinion on Lois
Yeah,
Lane?
quickly.
I didn't like her too much in this movie.
All right, cool. Jishnu.
You're not the director of me. I don't got to tell you shit.
Yeah, so but did you like her?
I loved her.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was okay with her. All right, cool. Let's take a break.
You can listen to Cyrus Says from our apps on iOS, Android, or our website, cyrussays.in. You can also listen to services like iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or your favorite podcasting softwares. It's cyrussays.in.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Geek Fruit Podcast. It's a special episode. We're talking about Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice.
It's not that special. I feel like we talk about Batman and or Superman in like every episode.
And or Superman?
But are they V each other every time?
Are they V?
I was deliberating about this prior to the show, prior to watching the movie. We were talking about like, so
Yeah.
it doesn't say, it's not B versus S. It's
V.
VS,
So
right? So,
V-
what, that V, I was like, what could that V stand for? If it's not versus, it could be Batman verifies that it's Superman.
Validates.
Batman validates Superman.
Which is basically the whole
That
plot
is-
of the movie.
Yes, that's when like everyone on the ground is going like, is it a bird? Is it a plane? And Batman goes in like, it's
It's
Superman.
No,
I
yeah,
can verify this.
yeah. You see the scar? You want to know how I got this? He beat me up. That's how.
That is Batman's famous line. Yes.
But then there's the other V, which is victimizes. Yeah. That's the kind of shit I'm into. Okay, cool. Anyway, but yeah, so Batman vs Superman. I don't think you saw it. You saw it a couple of days before we did.
Mm-hmm.
So so you were alone, and it must be that's terrible. That's one terrible thing when you have to watch a movie by yourself and you can't talk to people about it.
That
you know.
is true.
Yeah, okay. That's
Yeah.
what you mean. I
We
thought you
talked
meant just watching a movie alone is great. I love
No,
watching a movie alone.
that's fine. No, but I'm saying like you just want to, especially
Yeah.
big movies, where and nerdy things, you really want to talk about. So how was it, man?
I think I was fine with not telling anyone for a while because I was like, am I
Processing.
alone in this universe? Because
so
I liked
you-
the movie and everything
how
I
many
read
days
is.
prior to us seeing it did you see
I think I saw it 2 days
We saw it
before
on
you did.
Wednesday and we
Two-
saw it on Friday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. How many times have you watched the movie, Dinkar?
Twice. I watched it on Thursday again, like less than 24 hours later.
Okay, cool. Jishnu?
Just once.
Just once. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, and I've seen it twice, and wow, world of difference both times watching. Was it the same for you?
No.
No? Same? You felt the exact same way?
I felt the same. I
So
like
I don't know, man. Like, so we were really dropped the ball on booking tickets for this movie, right?
Yeah.
And you know how we are. You know, Force Awakens, we bought. So this is for everyone. This is how nerdy we got. We bought 2 sets of tickets for the exact same time almost. We bought 2 IMAX tickets. We bought the IMAX in PVR in Lower Parel in Bombay, and the other one was in Wadala, which is also in Bombay, but sometimes doesn't feel like that because it's quite far. But it's the bigger one.
Would you say Wadala is? Wadala is the
Chechnya
of Bombay.
It's the Chechnya of Bombay. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like
It's just got a very Chechnya.
It's got that Soviet feel.
You know, when you feel the Chechnya vibe, you feel the Chechnya vibe. I mean, like, you can't.
That's
help
how it is. And you know,
So-
like I was almost looking over my shoulder for like the Winter Soldier, like that. Over my soldier for the Winter Shoulder.
over my winter shoulder.
Anyway, so yeah, so we didn't go to Wadala for this one. Where did you watch it, by the way? Where did you watch it, Dinkar?
Fun Cinemas in Andheri.
Wow, really?
the
What?
That's where screenings happen. What? And the
Was
second
it
time,
IMAX? Is that IMAX?
No, it's
No?
not. There are only
Oh,
3
okay.
IMAX theaters in Bombay. One's
are?
in Thane, one's in Wadala, and one's in Lower Parel.
Thane
That
is
is
the bloody
correct.
Bosnia of Bombay. How do you count Thane as Bombay?
Thane, okay, for all the Thane listeners, guys, I'm sorry. Thane,
Look, there's nothing.
but you're not
Bosnia is a
apologizing
great-
to our maybe 3 Wadala listeners.
yeah, Age of Thanos.
Hey, I didn't say there's anything wrong with Chechnya or Bosnia.
Yeah, we didn't.
Okay.
We just said the Winter Soldier's on there, so
They
it's obviously
they
cool.
both operate under the euro, I would think. It's a very strong currency. I'm sure they're doing very well off.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely. You've seen those tickets for Wadala IMAX?
I know.
Jesus. Oh my gosh, that's so expensive. Anyway, movie tickets,
Anyway.
expensive. Fun
Yeah.
cinemas, fun?
Then Phoenix in Lower Parel.
Okay, so you did watch it in the IMAX?
In the IMAX.
No,
Not in the IMAX.
weirdly
Oh, you
enough.
saw the other screening, which Loprel has, which is not the IMAX one
It's
then?
a decently sized screen and it had Atmos.
Okay, Dolby Atmos.
Yeah,
All right, fair
which
enough.
is
That's
as opposed
cool.
to that. I think I will watch it in the Dome soon.
You must, yeah. Oh, okay, we didn't watch it in the Dome. We watched it in
did not, yeah.
IMAX. I watched it in IMAX twice. And the first time when Jishnu and I went, so like I said, we dropped the ball on buying these tickets.
Yeah.
And we got, I was just like, listen, I'm flying to Bangalore on the weekend. I really want to watch it before we do this, obviously. And so I was just like, let's just quickly just see what's there and get it.
We were like 4th row. But right in the middle, though. I mean,
No, we weren't in the middle.
close enough.
It was not close enough, and
It
I'll tell
was
you
like a
why.
few off.
I'll tell you why.
Whatever.
Because I went for it last night,
Yeah.
and I made sure I got the best seats in the house. So I got H row center, like 15, 16, 17. This is okay. If everybody's listening, if you want to go PVR IMAX Lower Parel, H 15, 16, 17. Those are the best seats in the house. And I'll tell you how I know. Is this what you have to do to know it's the best seats in the house? Is that you have to calculate the diagonal of the screen, and then that distance from the screen is the sweet spot in the theater. And that's how you should know, because Chris Nolan said it.
Or not do any of the above and just go on his word that age 15 is good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this
You'll
is
be-
not-
I'm sure you'll be
Since
satisfied.
you've done the work.
I'm sure you'll be
this is a
satisfied.
nerd podcast. This is what we do.
Age
all right?
15, 16 and 17.
Yeah, you heard
It sounds like the combination to like a room in Lost that has yet to be opened.
Lots of rooms in Lost.
Or, you know,
Because it's
like
15,
a hatch,
16, 17,
Like another
the
hatch that hasn't been opened.
3 rooms in Lost.
All right, so Batman
So
versus
did that fix all the
Superman.
plot holes?
Okay, so okay, Jishnu, go for it, man. Did you
I
like it?
loved Lost. It was great. I was confused by the ending, but hey, man, like a solid 5
What was it,
seasons.
Purgatory, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This spoilers, guys. Sorry,
I
by the way,
know,
we're doing
yeah.
spoilers
Whoops,
for everything.
sorry, destroyed.
Destroyed another,
7
yet
seasons of
another,
Lost.
yet another franchise ruin. Okay, cool. So we're talking about Batman versus Superman. Obviously, big stakes move for DC because this is pretty much, well, it didn't do it in Man of Steel, which was another trial. There was Superman Returns before that to try and see if there was something to be done there. But I believe Superman Returns was even before, 2 years before Iron Man. So, yeah, so similarly, it didn't have any idea that, this franchise world building thing could happen. They tried it again in Man of Steel. And since that did decently well, also want to know what you guys thought of Man of Steel before we get into it.
I did not like Man of Steel.
You did not like Man of Steel.
I'm not going to say at all, but I definitely didn't like it much.
And why is that? Just quickly, if you can just tell us.
I don't know. I thought about it later. So, I mean, for a lot of people, the fact that Superman's like destroying cities and killing people was an issue. It wasn't that much for me because I was like, that's fine. That's
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
justifiable. I just thought it was like too dark and self-serious for its own good. It could have been a good movie even with that tone, but they didn't pull it off. Or
Right.
like
Well,
very
I mean-
specifically, Zack Snyder didn't pull it off.
Zack Snyder, this guy.
He's the- man.
I thought the saving grace for Man of Steel, I agree, it wasn't spectacular at all. But I've seen it maybe 3 times. Once, I don't even know if I saw it in theaters or not, but I've seen it several times since then.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's definitely like very brooding and it's kind of odd. But that being said, the supporting cast, which is actually a similar point for this
For
movie.
Batman, yeah. I
A
agree.
similar point is that I really enjoyed the supporting cast, and especially having Kevin Costner have such a major role in it. I love Kevin Costner, and he was great.
Yeah, he
So,
was. A good scene also,
him
right?
alongside
Except, like,
his mom.
character was one of the problems for me. Like
Yeah.
when Superman goes like, "Oh, should I let those kids
Yeah,
die?"
that-
and he goes like,
But
"Yeah,
that's-
maybe."
that was-
what?
that
Why is he
was-
such a dick.
Yeah, I know, right? But like, that's what that
Can you
separated,
just
right?
verify which part you're talking about? So
This
people
is the
can
part
catch up?
when Clark Kent is a kid and he rescues
The kids
a
on the
bunch
bus,
of kids
right?
from a
From the
bus
bus.
that's drowning.
Yeah.
And then his dad's like, "Why'd you have to go and do that?" And first of all, it doesn't make sense that like the parents of those kids are going like, "Your son saved my son. What is wrong with him?"
Yeah, I know exactly.
Sure.
Right?
First off, I was
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah,
And
fair
then
enough.
he's speaking to Pa Kent, and he goes like, "What should I do? Should I not have saved them?" And he goes like, "Maybe."
Well, that's the driving force of the, right up till, spoiler, Jonathan Kent dies, I mean, he almost has the chance to save him, but because he wants to protect him as an identity,
Yeah.
it's something that they've taken into this movie also, which Martha Kent says, you don't
That
owe
is
this world
true.
anything. And you know what? Yeah, it's going against pretty much everything that is said in the comics, but that's what these movies have done, and I actually like that.
Aside from the fact that it's
I like that
it's
part.
against stuff in the comics, and it's like generally against Superman as a character. It just is
Yeah,
like
yeah, pretty
it's
much.
a ridiculously dickish
Okay,
perspective
but
for him to
put it
take.
in this case. Put it in this case, right? You don't see your son as Superman in a very real world sense. You're seeing your son as your son, and you don't know what can or cannot kill him as of this point, right? And you would much rather like, I don't give a crap about other people's kids. I'm gonna let my son survive. And he's like, if I have, can't be a hero just yet. I mean, until yes, he's very much forced to by Russell Crowe and that whole thing.
Who
So,
they
I
didn't
mean,
know was going to even enter the equation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And-
they don't know. You're taking care of you. And they're
Yeah.
farmers. Like,
But,
I gotta
but he
protect my
also
family.
tells Clark, "You're here for a reason, but shh, be cool."
Yeah, well, until, the time is right, which is...
Because he was still a
finds
kid.
himself, yeah.
Because he was still a kid. I mean, I feel like
Yeah, I agree.
he's trying to like...
So,
The only benefit of the doubt I can give him is that like he was literally still a kid, or like he wasn't
Yeah.
even a teenager, right? He was like
he
less
was-
than 10 years old or
Yeah,
something like that.
he was quite young, yeah.
And like, wasn't there a scene like he locked himself in school in a closet in school, and his mom had to come.
Yeah,
It's like he's dealing with like
bunch
very
of-
much like adolescent nonsense, which everybody has to deal with. So
But
like,
on a super level.
but yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
however, this kid can kill everybody, so I need to like be
Yeah,
very.
you don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
You'd much rather him not enter a situation
Yeah, so
than
I feel
find
like
out the hard
I feel
way.
like the driving force there is that like, look, keep this kid happy, because it's one thing if a kid throws a tantrum, it's annoying, it's a lot of a big mess to clean up. If this kid throws a tantrum, he can like
Kill everyone.
be a tornado to this town.
Yeah,
Like he'd
that's
kill
true.
everything in sight. So like I think if the MO is just keep him quiet,
Yeah.
you're good until he realizes what he's capable of.
Yeah.
That's
just-
it, but that's I'm
that's
playing
fair.
devil's advocate. I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah,
playing devil's
for sure,
advocate.
definitely. And
no,
no,
you've
and,
changed my mind now, though.
and that
What a good movie
Good
Man of
movie.
Steel was.
Good- yeah,
No, I mean,
Victory.
it's a fair point.
Yeah, I watched Man of Steel twice. I remember once I went and it was I was doing a shoot, so I fell asleep because I was sheer exhaustion. And I didn't like it also when I woke up. I was like, what is going on?
When you woke up,
Yeah,
you
I was
were
just like, what's going on? This is a crazy movie. What is this Kryptonian machine in the South Indian
Yeah.
Ocean? All that stuff. I didn't.
Yeah.
And then my flatmate said, you know what? Watch it again. And so I watched on a big IMAX screen and all that stuff. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting. And it's something they have carried on in this film, which is that it's pretty unconventional. And what I thought I didn't like about BVS in the beginning, I'm starting to like now. It's really strange. So I watched it, when we watched it the first time, I almost hated it, man. I almost hated Batman vs. Superman the first time I watched it. And there's still a lot of things that nag me about it. But like watching it the second time just completely
So
changed
what was
my...
that particular thing?
So this is running off the same point of Man of Steel, which is that, how can they take these characters and make them do these things which are not true to the comics? And which is like, Superman snaps Zod's neck. But I was okay with it. It was like, because wow, this is interesting because the character's never gone here. He has to do something about saving these people. What is he going to do? The only thing option that's left for him is kill Zod.
Right.
And so yeah, the destruction at the end of that movie was a too much. It was a too much, and I didn't enjoy that particularly. And that seems to have kind of really decided what the whole first half of this film is. And in fact, the whole movie is like a response to the backlash
Just
from,
the aftermath, yeah.
from that movie, which is
Yeah.
quite strange. And they've kind of used it to their advantage to kickstart the universe.
Yeah.
So I still had a lot of problems with it. In fact, right up till the actual fight, I like the movie, man. Until the fights, I like the movie. I don't like the action as much, like especially with the Doomsday bit. But I think it was not bad, and we'll get into why. But let's just take the beginning of the film.
Part by part.
So I think that, like you said, it's dealing with the aftermath immediately. So right, and the big thing that I can't help but think about is that they're having to play catch up with Marvel. And Marvel has, 12 movies ahead of them.
Yeah.
And so Marvel has...
We have to think that. We have to consider that.
You have to consider that because that is their agenda, is to compete
But they're already so late, Imagine Iron Man, okay, say even Avengers was the first one to be the one that would bind the entire universe. That was still, 2010? No, 2012, wasn't it? 2012.
Iron Man?
The Avengers.
Oh, the Avengers was
maybe 4 years
something
ago.
like that. Yeah,
That's crazy, right? We're in 2016, and their first not even Avengers film is out. It's their almost Civil War, which it's just funny because Civil War is out.
Well, that's the thing. It's all of the above. This movie had to do what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had done after Avengers, which is deal with the aftermath, right? So they've dedicated an entire 24
nice that
two-season...
You got that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference in.
Hashtag like a boss.
Okay.
And they have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to do that, but they have 2 seasons of 24 episodes each. So plenty of 48 hours of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to
That
give you all the
watched.
aftermath
Yeah.
that I've watched all of and loved it. Then they have the Avengers themselves, Avengers 2 as well, and now Civil War. So in this one, they're trying to do the aftermath, the team up of the Justice League, and sort of drop these blatant Easter eggs. That weren't even Easter eggs.
Kind of like the proto Justice League, though. Not even like the main.
Yeah.
It's
So,
a
but I mean,
trinity.
like, the montage scene where, he goes through the files and looks at the computer to see the three of them.
Adobe Illustrator files.
Seriously. That color
Oh
scheme
my
was just
gosh.
hilarious. I was
It
like,
was-
this is straight up an
That
NBC
was
scene.
really bad. I'm sorry, I didn't like that.
But that was basically the moment at the end of Avengers 2. That was like, let me now get a quick glimpse at the new Avengers.
2. Okay, the new Avengers.
The new Avengers. Like
That was like-
it was basically that, because we've seen the Justice League, we've seen the Avengers team up in that epic shot when they fight Doomsday, and then you fast forward now, and now we see. Or I forget at what part of the movie this came in, but you then see
Illustrator files?
the Illustrator files.
That was so badly placed in the movie.
It was
badly
placed at a bad time, and it
Very
was like
badly
a
placed.
digression. But
Such a digression.
It was
In
so
fact,
random.
that
It was
was
just
my
like,
whole
I didn't get
thing with
excited.
this
I mean,
movie.
obviously,
I
I
liked it.
knew it was coming, but I didn't like.
I didn't like it. You know why I didn't like it?
Because
Because it was so like formula. Like we're literally going through a folder and seeing everyone's clips.
Yes, exactly.
That's one thing.
I was like, I literally have to do this at home. Like when when I see a movie
And not
and I
even
see
like
who's coming out,
not
I'll-
introduced like what they almost kind of. It was obviously a play. I mean, in the beginning when Bruce Wayne goes up and he's like, oh man, are you okay? With the Wallace Keefe. He's like, what's your name? Wallace? They call you Wally, and everyone's like, oh my god, is that what it's supposed to mean?
Yeah.
But obviously it's not. I mean, so that was like, if they did it that way.
Clarify for people what that means.
Wally West is the Flash. Cool. Okay. Well,
Just-
he was Kid Flash, and then he's okay.
Yeah.
And then he's Flash. And for those who are watching the Flash, nothing.
No,
It's
no.
the same thing at all.
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little.
Yeah.
So, so I thought if you had to feature characters like that, that would be so much better. Not like killing off Jimmy Olsen in the film. Sorry,
Yeah.
did not like that at all. That was crazy bad, guys. I'm sorry. I don't care. And this is the other thing I want to bring up. I don't care if there's going to be an extended 3-hour cut. It's like Zack Snyder saying, yeah man, they didn't let me put all my stuff in the movie. You know what? Shut the up, because you're like, you're a director. Your job is to tell a movie in so much time.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh yeah, we want to do something really cool with Jimmy Olsen. He's the photographer, by the way, for the people who don't know. And they killed him off. No respect to the character. If they did do something with him, which is going to be in the deleted scene, I'm sorry, you can't write that in if you know it's going to be there in the final cut and leave fans especially like so bummed out that you just killed him off and made him a CIA agent. That's so weird.
So I think my biggest beef with this, as I was watching it, like I said, I didn't really get too excited when he was going through the Illustrator files and stuff. And I think the problem is that we were told when these trailers came out that was so extensive with what they showed us, right? Everybody was like, what the hell are these trailers?
We saw everything.
We saw everything, so I was really crossing my fingers tight for an Act 4 to be there. That was really epic and really changed the game completely and, undoes everything that we've seen. And it wasn't the case at all, right? And so I think this movie, I know I go on like a broken record about it, but I think this movie, more so than any movie I've ever seen, was completely ruined by the trailers. Because
completely.
I would have loved to see the Wonder Woman thing play out exactly as was,
Yeah.
without knowing what was going to happen.
Yeah,
I would have
so
loved
true.
to see Doomsday
So true.
come
Yeah.
and be Doomsday as the main bad guy
Yeah.
without knowing it previously.
So
Like,
we knew
all
okay,
the surprises were gone.
Let's just even list out what we already knew. We knew that we just didn't know the circumstances, but we
Yeah.
saw the Batman fight scene, which is
Yeah.
where he saves Martha
Yep.
Kent. We saw the Doomsday fight scene. We pretty much saw the formation of the Justice League, Pro Justice League. We saw, Superman fight Batman pretty much, and those were smart. Well, I won't even use the word smartly cut, but they were played to show that Batman and Superman were fighting each other, but actually we were fighting Doomsday. Doesn't matter. We saw all the Batmobile stuff.
Yeah.
We saw all the Batwing stuff. We saw, scenes from pretty much
the
all
dream. Okay, here's the thing. The dream was
sequence.
the biggest letdown for me because they told us it was a freaking dream.
Yeah.
In the trailer.
in the trailer. Yeah.
Or like actually not even in the trailer.
It was
the trailer,
revealed,
the trailer
yeah, it was
didn't tell
revealed.
us it was a dream because there's no way to tell you. But why would they like outwardly say it in interviews? Oh, by the way, you know that thing you saw? Let me tell you more about it. No, that's not the point of marketing for a movie. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
I think
movie
that was a fail.
This is the last movie that needed a trailer.
Seriously.
Like, honestly, like, do you remember that feeling you got when you saw that STCC footage, like way back when they just
Yeah,
showed
yeah.
the logos? That was
That's
enough.
it. That's
you
it.
knew this movie was going to sell.
Yeah.
Like, there was no chance this movie
it
would
is
not
selling,
make.
by the way.
It's breaking records left, right, and center. There was
Yeah.
no chance of this movie failing in the box office. It could be the worst movie in the world, but people would still see it simply because of the people in it.
Because of
you
Batman,
don't
Superman,
need to
yeah.
tell us that there's this epic dream sequence where all the stuff happens and the mask gets removed.
It's just a Zack Snyder-
that was a really cool scene to watch.
He can't keep it in his
But
pants,
I
man.
didn't care about it. That was the problem. It was visually amazing to see. It was so cool seeing that single take fight sequence that he did.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And again,
But-
what I believe is Jenna Malone, who's been cut out because there's this girl he's hanging on to. I think that was
Really?
supposed to be Batgirl. Yeah, yeah,
what?
or Robin, a female Robin, basically. Jenna Malone.
That
is-
he's hanging on to. What do you mean?
Basically, in the fight sequence in the Nightmare version, I think that's basically. I think because she has a greater role in this, and it's not been clarified. And the second time I saw it,
Wait, no,
there's a girl who he's pulling across the desert in the Mad Max scene, basically. So
somebody gets shot and he's like
he's
just
dragging her.
dragged.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it's a.
okay.
I think that is who Jenna Malone's character. I think we'll find out a little more.
Okay. But yeah,
about
see,
it.
so the thing about it, like, so the one thing I cannot deny is that Zack Snyder has an amazing visual aesthetic to his movies, and I loved how this one looked.
Yeah.
I just didn't care about anything because I'd already
Yeah.
been told everything.
That's so true. I felt zero connect.
There was
to
no
the,
surprise. There was
to the
nothing
characters, yeah.
pulling me in because I didn't need.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know anything because I knew it all.
Dude, like, in the Avengers, when you watch, and I have to compare it to Marvel because we're all Marvel fanboys, but I mean, they're always like those feels you go like, oh my god, this is happening. You know?
Yeah.
Over here, you've seen everything. So even when they like team up, there was like one half-hearted woo in the theater.
When Superman rips the top of the Batmobile off and then they
Yeah.
both stand up and face each other for the first time, and we
Seen
watched
that
it,
also.
same one small whoop, but I was like, yeah, I saw this like 50 times in the trailer.
Dude, yeah.
What's gonna happen now? And then he
Exactly.
leaves. I was like, well, okay, cool. So I
It's
guess
in
when
the,
they
it's in the Turkish Airlines ad,
Yeah,
which
which
also
they played in the
features
frickin'
in the theater. How can you play
this was
BVS
one
marketing?
of the worst viewing experiences for me.
I agree. I was
Like,
just telling
of all
Jishnu,
time.
man, I was like just telling him, I was like, I think I hate going to the theater as much as I love going to it. It's like, there's everything wrong about watching these kind of movies in the theater. Like, you want the entire experience, it gets diluted by ads, it gets diluted by,
It
just
had
national
subtitles,
anthem,
it
the
had
subtitles,
subtitles.
everything in this bloody thing to ruin it.
And then they
instead.
censored out Lois Lane's shoulders.
Yeah, terrible.
Did they censor that?
Yeah, they did.
What the hell is that?
Abhijit Kini just put up a status about that. He
about
said,
that, yeah.
he's like, everyone's hating on this, but why don't we just hate on our censor board for just being dicks
Yeah.
all over again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so coming back to it, but the Zero Connect, definitely the trailers ruining everything has such a big thing.
I feel
about
like it could have been a good movie. I feel like
It could have.
If I didn't see anything, I feel like I would have
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like if I'd say I liked it at like maybe like a 4 on 10 right now. I feel like if
You
I
like
had,
it a 4 on 10 right now, man?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not even liking it.
That's not
Yeah,
even
that's
like-
not liking it.
Yeah.
I gave it a 4 on 10.
Yeah.
It's possible. It passes for me, but it's still not
Yeah.
good for me. But if I hadn't seen anything,
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been an easy 7.
Yeah.
At least.
I think it's
The exact same movie,
The
but
exact
if
same
the
movie.
marketing was different,
Yeah,
if I didn't know
definitely,
anything,
man,
because
yeah.
like they had
So
a lot,
true.
they crammed in a whole lot of stuff to
That's
simply
true.
catch up with Marvel. But
Everything, yeah.
I knew what they were going to do before they even did it.
Yeah,
So what's
here's the
point
other
of
thing.
it,
This
you know?
movie has been in production for like 3 years. Remember, it was supposed to come
Yeah.
out last year.
Yeah.
And then, like, they delayed it because they said they want to be in post-production. So this was shot and in the can. It was done. I don't know, they took a little more time. I think it was probably for Doomsday, I guess,
Yeah.
for the effects on it.
I guess.
Who I guess just
Which
looked
didn't
pretty
look
much
great.
run-of-the-mill Abomination
It was
style,
very,
your
yeah.
CGI
Yeah,
character.
and-
He looked a lot like Azog from, from
Yeah,
The Hobbit,
Hobbit,
right?
yeah, Hobbit, yeah.
But I felt like the effects in general took a dip in quality in the last bit.
Second half in the third
So
act.
in the
pretty much.
uber electrified
yeah,
laser
Yeah,
stuff.
what's up with that?
Yeah.
Suddenly, the entire Batman Superman fight I thought
I think
was
it's just-
solid.
Because I
But
feel
then
like
Doomsday
the
comes in and it's
entire-
like, whoa.
Because I feel like, okay, so I'll tell you the one thing I did find myself like smiling about was once the team up happened. Obviously, like I said, I hated the fact that there were subtitles because that just ruins it for me.
that's
And
the
being
worst.
such a visual storyteller as Snyder is, like if you're cropping out 20% of your frame, I'm really upset about that. But that's just me. So what I really liked about once the team up happened was the fight scene was like freaking 15 minutes long, right? With
was a long movie also,
with
yeah.
minimal dialogue, right?
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
the fight began, it was like just words like Martha and Martha again.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So I think the reason it might have dipped and the reason it might have like taken even longer for them to put it out because of post is simply because just that one epic fight scene, which is so long, was completely CG. Right, the entire thing. So
Yeah, pretty much.
when you're playing with that for such a long amount of time, even the most layman audience will, at some point, start questioning what they're looking at.
Yeah,
because like CG is great
the
when you do
problem
it
of using
in
the
small
CG.
little jolts.
Yeah.
Like that's when it's cool. But if
I
you
guess that's
extend
why-
it for 15 minutes,
Do you think that's why the Hulk movies don't work?
I would imagine
Because
so.
there's so much CG?
Yeah, because I mean your principal character is CGI.
No, absolutely.
And that's why I mean
Possibly,
Lou
yeah.
Ferrigno.
That's why if you make a Bruce Banner movie, I think it'd be great. But if you make a Hulk movie, then you're asking. It's a completely different mountain to climb.
That's true. That's a good point that you bring up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's also the reason why a lot of people didn't like the Hobbit because there's so much
Yeah,
CGI
absolutely.
in it.
Absolutely.
And as compared to the Lord of the Rings, where
Yeah,
there's a lot of-
especially part 3 of The Hobbit, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just a big fight.
It's pretty
which
much
is
a big-
just a whole bunch of green screen.
Yeah, I get.
So
Is it just that technology is not? I mean, because I love a movie like Planet of the Apes. I mean, the two movies that have come out have been exceptional, and I don't know, man. The CGI in that, I don't know, because maybe it's because it's motion capture.
no,
I
see,
don't know.
I think what it is at the end of the day, people are gravitated towards the story
Story,
whether they like
yeah,
it or not.
that's
I mean,
true.
the
That's
names on the billboard and the cool explosions will be cherry on top of it, but you still need the full cake to be satisfied, right? You still need to eat an entire cake.
Let them eat cake.
Yeah, so I think that a movie like The Hobbit, Part 3 specifically I'm talking about, and those 15 minutes of the fight scene, the frills of it will only last for so long. It's like you'll only be attracted to it for so long, but once you're over that,
Yeah.
and you're now okay. I've seen her lasso. I've seen her.
That was cool.
This and that. I've
Lasso
seen
was cool.
Abomination jumping around. I've seen the heat vision of all that stuff. Cool. That's great. You've done it superbly. It looks.
Yeah.
You can't argue that it looked really, really awesome. But after watching it for 5 minutes, I'm now going to pay attention to what they're doing. And what are they doing? They're still just like hitting the air and like looking intensely as the other guy screams, which is not that. It's not
I
that
guess,
compelling.
yeah, the Doomsday fight was definitely the lowest point in the film for me because I do enjoy all the interactions between the characters, even though some of it is a bit lame, some parts
a
are a
bit
bit
cheesy, but I thought it worked.
it's
But the
it's totally
interaction,
fine.
which part do you mean? The fighting interaction, or you mean the actual?
No, the speaking
The actual
bits.
entire fight sequence and the dialogues between them. All
Yeah,
of
the
it
I'm
was
talking about the
pretty cheesy.
dialogues. Yeah, some of
The dialogue in
for
the
sure.
dialogue in the fight sequence.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, well, that
or do you
too.
mean like when
I'm
they're
just-
Bruce and Clark?
I'm saying when they're Bruce and Clark, I liked all the interactions between
Yeah.
Bruce and
Yeah, I did. I really did.
this guy. What's his name? Jeremy Irons. He was great.
Yeah.
I
Oh, he was
liked
great.
it.
He was awesome.
I really liked him. He was like kind of a like standout for me.
He was
in that-
very reminiscent of the Gotham Alfred.
Yeah, he's
He
that
had
little.
that. Have
yeah.
you seen Gotham? How much of Gotham have you seen?
I've seen like 4 episodes of the first season.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
I-
so
I
do you
can see
recall
where
like
you
that
come from. Yeah,
Alfred
yeah.
was very much
Where
like,
he's less like polished, more
Yeah.
like
He's
Like
not
the
like a
Gotham
quaint
Alfred-
British butler.
Yeah.
The Gotham Alfred is like ex-military, and I could see. I don't know what Jeremy Irons' background is in this context, but he seemed
seems
like
quite-
he'd seen,
yeah, yeah,
he'd
yeah,
seen his
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
He'd seen
Uh,
been through
the
tough days.
so we're gonna so we've spoken a little bit about the CGI. so it is a big deal, man, for
Yeah.
me also. Yeah. Let's take it step by step though. So let's start with Batman. Let's start with just Batman. I mean, for me, yeah, it seemed like because they were trying to do this universe building, they kind of put him in this movie as a principal character, and that's totally fine. I'm okay with it. It didn't seem that shoehorned, a lot of his parts, but here's my greatest thing, and this is what I mailed IGN about. I was just saying that, in terms of being the world's greatest detective, I don't think we'll ever see that incarnation on the screen.
I know.
Ever. Like, because he is supposed to be the smartest man ever, and he's always 5 steps ahead. And, like, the only version I've ever seen of that is through Kevin Conroy's Batman. And, like,
He'd
on the
actually go
animated
and, like,
series.
hunt for clues
Yeah,
at
he'll hunt
crime
for clues.
scenes and stuff.
How does Bruce Wayne not know that
Yeah.
Superman or Lex Luthor's behind this? And Lex Luthor, fine, fair enough. They played him up as a mastermind.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, I mean, he didn't annoy me as much as I thought he would. He just reminded me too much of Shah Rukh Khan, I guess. Like, he like every single mannerism. If you just watch this movie, he's
It
like
is.
Shah Rukh Khan, man. He even looks like Shah Rukh Khan. It's so strange.
The nose.
It's just really weird.
They have a
Anyway.
similar nose. They do.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys check
But
that out.
I will say though that I agree. Like,
how did Batman not figure out what was going on?
So I think the juxtaposition between them is the only thing that worked to Batman's advantage. And what I mean by that is that one thing that I was a little put off by, and this is no secret, Superman has never been my favorite character, but he was compelling enough for me in this movie.
in fact, his arc was so much more solid because, like, he's like, oh, am I a good guy? Am I a bad guy? What am I? And it makes sense.
Except for when he was confronted with Lex on top of the building, right? And his mom's been taken and all that stuff happens. He sort of recoiled into this puppy dog kind of thing of like,
this is his
I'm so
mommy.
helpless.
Yeah,
right,
it's
yeah,
his
exactly.
mommy.
right. But I just felt like I couldn't believe that it was so simple for Lex to do this, having come from like nothing within 20 minutes. We just met the guy. He was shaking hands like, oh, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. Oh, you don't want to pick a fight with this guy. And then 20 minutes
So
later...
he knows everybody is everyone, right?
Yeah,
Obviously,
yes.
yeah.
And then 20 minutes later, and Clark is none the wiser. And 20 minutes later, he's at his mercy. And like when he's playing Clark at the Daily Planet, and he's going up against Fishburne.
Yeah. Who's great, by the way.
Yeah, Fishburne just being Fishburne.
Yeah, amazing.
When he goes up against Fishburne and says, hey, we need to be writing about this thing and that thing.
Yeah, I didn't buy that
Again,
at
he's
all.
got this like really stupid kind of like...
Yeah, he's not smart.
But what do you mean we can't write about this?
Yeah.
Like it
I
was...
was like, this guy, how did he suddenly grow a heart, for journalism, like, so quickly?
Yeah, it was-
I didn't feel that.
So
I
to
think
that
he joined
end-
the Daily Planet at the end of Man of Steel.
Yeah.
It's been a year and a half.
2 years, right? They say
18
18
years.
months.
Yeah, something like that.
But like suddenly
So
he's
I
like
think
a
that
great journalist. Who cares?
Since I didn't think that highly of Clark, since I thought like, wow, Clark is kind of stupid in a lot of ways, that's kind of what made Batman seem that much smarter, because he's going up against an idiot.
No,
and so I was like,
I don't
alright,
know,
that's
man.
fine.
I felt Batman was an idiot quite
Yeah,
through
they were
this
both
film as
idiots.
well.
I didn't like that. Well,
I mean, there was
How do I
nothing
put it?
intelligent about like
How do I
how
put it?
he did not deduce that Superman's a good guy. I mean, Batman has always gone with gut and his feel, and like it didn't seem right that he was literally about to kill Superman. He was gonna stab him with a kryptonite
but
thing.
I'd buy.
No,
Him being
why?
the only person you want to
Batman
kill.
doesn't kill anybody.
But if you're going to kill anybody, this is the person to
this
kill.
movie.
he
kills
kills
people left, right,
everyone in
and
this
center.
movie.
It's a new Batman.
That's
to begin
it.
with.
It's a new world.
I mean, I feel like if he was going to kill anybody, this is the guy to kill.
That's
I think so. I mean,
The
it
most
does
genuine
happen.
threat,
I mean, he
yeah.
would have killed
doesn't kill him
Superman
in Dark
Dark
Knight
Knight Returns.
Yeah.
He doesn't, but he almost does.
I mean, he kills him. In fact, like.
Yeah.
supposedly.
Well,
Yeah,
supposedly.
yeah.
I mean, knows this.
But,
I mean, in fact, it's pretty much the opposite.
and
And they have
Netflix
ripped
stuff.
off so much from, obviously Death of Superman and
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns. In fact, some lines are verbatim.
Verbatim,
Yeah, from, even from Alfred and stuff.
What I did like though was
Yeah,
the nod,
yeah.
the use of the spear thing as a kind of a nod to the Green Arrow. I kind of like that a little bit, like
Yeah, fair enough.
being an arrow-shaped
That's what it was.
object that he's
Yeah.
going to be using.
Yeah.
There's a
That was
kryptonite
kinda
spear
cool.
in Supergirl even.
Is it? Right now? In the
Yes,
series? In the
a
TV
certain character is killed with
Hey,
it.
when is that crossover happening?
series?
It's
Tomorrow.
happened, yeah.
Today.
Oh,
No, it's out, it's out.
Oh, it's out. Okay,
Oh, it's out.
you gotta see
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's on her show, right? It's on her
It's
show.
on her show,
So I have to
yes.
get that.
Yes.
So we have to
Okay.
get into that.
Cool.
Ah, damn it. Okay.
Anyway.
So yeah, coming back,
Yeah.
for me, like this Batman, who by the way just drinks throughout this movie. Have you just noticed that?
Yeah.
Any scene he's Bruce Wayne, he's having a drink. He's a drunk millionaire.
I love it.
This man is
That's
crazy.
awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. It reminds me a lot of All-Star Batman. Have you seen the All-Star Batman Robin?
No.
The Jim Lee one. It's so good because that Batman is like really neurotic, and he seems that way in this. And I don't know. It just felt like. I just felt let down by the whole Batman not being able to. The fight scenes were great. Like the fight scene was great, where he takes down, the KG beast,
Yeah.
Anatoly.
Yeah.
But everything else seemed like. And you know what? This is the main problem I had. Is just that this guy's hated Superman for 2 years. He has enough time to kind of build up whatever. Fair enough. Okay, he hates Superman. Okay, we got that. Because he's got this weird thing, he's fueled by these nightmares of stuff, which I have a theory about. And then at the end, it comes down literally to the last moment, and Superman's like, save Martha! And he's like, and that's the thing, man?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
cancer.
That is bad.
That's a cancer, dude.
It was very cringe.
That is just, and the whole movie, the whole V of Batman versus
Yeah.
Superman
Yeah.
lies there, and I was
Yeah.
just like,
It was an
yes.
M all along.
Yeah, it was an upside
But it
down
was
V
VMS.
with another.
With another upside down V next to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is indefensible.
But come on,
Yeah.
dude. I mean,
it's just like they
and this is-
knew that like everybody was joking about this movie and that like daddy issues versus daddy issues. Well,
Often-
really,
often
it's
movie.
mummy issues.
Yeah, crazy,
Like,
right?
really?
Yeah, sure. Martha is the same name. We've always known that, I guess. But like, that's what stopped these
Yeah.
orphans from like kind of doing this. Really? That is inexcusable, man. I'm sorry. This is David S. Goyer. This guy's written more Batman movies than anybody else,
yes.
man. And this is what they came up with to stop the Batman from killing Superman. Mom. We need to take a moment here and just discuss this. I don't think it worked at all. I mean, it is so lame. It was so cheesy that it was just like, for me, the whole time I watched it the first time, I was just like, no, this can't be it. This can't be it. In fact, they could have just had a conversation. All Batman had to do was like stop and listen, through his friggin' helmet and through his Lego Batman suit. And, just have a conversation. That's what the Batman would do. He would not even have to have a conversation. He would have to just do his research, which is what the Batman does. And just, God.
Maybe if one of those Illustrator files had images of his mom, you'd be like, hey, my name's Martha, too.
Why you have pictures of my mom? Why'd you have that?
Martha_ClarkMom.ai.
Like, really, dude?
Like he right clicks and is like open with. Damn it.
I don't have the. Yeah.
I don't have the legacy files for Creative Cloud.
So nerdy.
Damn it, my subscription just ended.
Oh gosh. No, but and this is so obviously, even if you have to say fine, let's move past that. Just the whole movie seems to be riding on that moment, and after that suddenly the thing switches off in Batman's brain.
Yeah.
He's suddenly, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do this for you, man. I'm your friend. I'm gonna let you know that no Martha's gonna die tonight. And I was just like, suddenly you want to save his mother now? You were about to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And now you care about his family because she shares. What if this Martha was a terrible woman? He doesn't even know that. It's so inane.
And also, I think just the way that they played it out, if they kept this as the plot point, like this is the thing that triggers it, it might have been a little easier to digest if they didn't, like the minute he said, why did you say that name?
Yeah.
Lois comes, it's his mother's name.
Yeah.
And then,
I know, suddenly
and then
Lois-
flashback to like, graveyard, Martha Wade.
Which is why we had the first.
We know that. We saw that.
There was
Thank
so
you.
much. There was so
It's
much.
like
All these
Omnium.
girls say just like shoved in the whole first dream sequence where he goes in the blood coming out of and then this demon. And I was just like, what?
They were telling,
is
not
that?
showing. This was
Yeah,
classic
this is
telling, not showing.
Yeah.
Just like,
Just
it's his mother's name.
Her name is Martha.
Remember Batman's mom's name
Let's
is Martha
hire
too.
a famous actor like Jeffrey Dean Morgan to say it slow-mo into the camera.
God.
And that, by the way, it's ripped off again, Dark Knight Returns, exactly the same.
And this thing, like
true.
Snyder he's got such a sweet visual style,
Visual
and then
sense, yeah.
this is the crappy
He's-
pull. I was like,
I kind of blame it on
you
Chris
can do
Terrio
so
and
much
David S.
better.
Goyer,
You
though.
can do
Because
so
it's a
much
bad
better.
story.
It's a
Maybe
bad,
it wasn't. Yeah,
that's
that's
a
true.
problem with this movie for me. It's just that, why I like it is because it's unconventional. And I was thinking about Ant-Man, and just bear with me. Like, this is what I like about Marvel is that, they got their storytelling down, but now Marvel is just repeating
They're having
itself.
fun.
They're repeating themselves with Ant-Man. We didn't like Ant-Man that much. And the more I think about it, Ant-Man keeps it fresh because they're good new actors and the comedic value keeps it alive. But it's just the same origin
same
story
story.
over and over again.
Yeah.
And what I like about DC is now that it's quite unconventional. And you're right, if they didn't show us the trailers, I wouldn't know what to expect from this film.
Yeah.
And it was quite cool that way. And the second viewing I saw it,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is actually quite interesting. Lex Luthor didn't bum me out as much. So many things that I just came to reveal itself. But just a few inexcusable things in this film,
Yeah.
man. And it's too long. It's too bloody long.
What if we look at this movie as maybe one of the first few episodes of like a season of television?
Well, that's the way we have
Where
to look at
maybe you
everything
can't-
now.
yeah, that is true.
But you can't afford that luxury when your movie is almost 3 hours long.
Yeah.
That is
There are
true,
limits.
but-
There are limits to saying like, but this is only the beginning. Like, well, your beginning was way too damn long.
Yeah.
Your beginning was longer than most endings.
And these are nerds talk. When nerds talking about a movie, we would love to kind of just take in like 4 or 5 hours. We only watch extended version of Lord of the Rings now. So we're just like, okay, I'll take your movie. But like, if you're just from a storytelling sense, you're cutting down this film with supposedly key plot points, and still it's so muddled up.
Yeah.
Just if you just think about this is something I was reading the other way. So he starts that little timer on top of the roof and he says, oh, it's ticking. And end of the conversation, he's like, wow, there's only 34 minutes left in that little exchange. Okay?
Yeah.
Then Wonder Woman gets off a plane, or gets out of a
Turkish Airlines. Yeah.
Does all these things, reads a mail from Bruce. Okay, meanwhile, Bruce and Clark are having this big showdown in this abandoned, and I mean, it's so obvious that everything is abandoned, right? Yeah. It's in an abandoned Stryker's Island, which is always never abandoned. It's a prison, by the way, in any of the games or the books you read. Stryker's Island is empty. Everything it's in the port. It's abandoned. Did I mention it was abandoned?
Of the city that are abandoned.
Did I mention it was abandoned? Fine, okay. They do all this stuff, and then when Batman suddenly swears to Superman, his new BFF, that he's going to save his mother's life. Yeah. Okay. He goes and he checks the clock, and there's only 10 minutes. I was like, what is happening, dude? It was crazy. And I'm sorry, if Lex Luthor was so sure about how his plan was going to go down, why did he even go with Doomsday? What was happening there? How did he figure that stuff? What is that? What is happening in this movie? I want to like it so badly.
Yeah, when he stepped onto the ship, the alien ship, and starts talking with the computer, he just had this look of I know exactly what I'm doing. I was like, no, you don't.
Well, fair enough. He says to the computer, teach me. He's like, I have the knowledge.
And that was
fair enough.
So
you can assume that the computer's told him what to do.
Yeah, but it was so quick. The computer says 4 sentences, and he's like, cool. Tell me everything you need to know. Okay, I will begin. And then cut away,
and then
see him 20 minutes later, I now know the entire secrets of the entire Kryptonian civilization, and I will now destroy you with this
so there's a
Frankenstein.
There's a huge
come on, man, in 20
though.
minutes you just what? No.
It
was way too convenient.
It was very contrary.
Because the story was so weak, they had nothing to flesh it out with. They're and I guess we'll at this point say he now learns everything that there is to know about Krypton.
Yeah. Okay, Dinkar, man, we're going to give you some time to defend this one. Go for it.
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
No,
Plot.
Yeah.
Very full of holes. Yeah. Quite indefensible, admittedly. I don't know, but so the thing is, I didn't go in with a specific mindset. I didn't go thinking all right, I'm going to try and like this movie. In fact, I was thinking I'm going to walk out just being really disappointed. And I walked out not feeling that at all. I was like, I like this. I had fun. And the rest of my life from that point on has been trying to understand why. I will go to my grave going why did I like BVS?
Okay.
Yeah. But as long as the soil shakes,
so I think maybe what sold it for me was probably Jesse Eisenberg. Once you see him and you're like, this movie is nuts. It's pulpy, ridiculous, over the top. You shouldn't be holding on to any notions of what Batman or Superman should be.
Or Nolan's.
Or Nolan's, yeah. No version of...
Go on.
Don't hold on to your Nolans, guys. I think, for starters, I like the fight, which got me pretty pumped.
Batman versus Superman fight?
Batman versus Superman
fight.
I liked it the second time also.
I think actually right from the start. So what happened was...
I know Jishnu's favorite moment also.
Oh man!
Sorry, we both looked at each other when this happened. It's just the last bit of the fight.
Which part?
So good.
And he's just Batman. Superman's floored. He's on the ground.
It's the most
and this is the finishing move
I've ever seen on
This
screen.
is the finishing move of Batman versus Superman. He
good.
goes to the bathroom, picks up the sink, and slams it down on his head.
So good.
Wow. Literally everything was the kitchen sink in this movie, right? What a great...
Just a gif of that is the perfect metaphor for this movie.
Clearly you meant gif, but
yes.
God.
Yeah, but that was hilarious.
It just made me so happy.
Yeah, we were just laughing.
It made me so happy.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I want to pose a question to you.
Yes.
So obviously, since the reviews are so bad...
how about that though?
Since the reviews were so bad, he got...
this bad? Man, come on, it's a 30% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I gave it 40%.
That's ridiculous.
I gave it 40%. But wait, no, so since the reviews were so bad, I saw an interview with Affleck, I think on the Tonight Show.
Is this a sad Affleck?
No, not sad Affleck. Sad Affleck, we all know what's sad Affleck. That's easy enough.
I know the one you're talking about though. So where he says it's for fans, not critics.
What do you think he means by that?
I think he's just trying to get out of the...
That's what I thought. It's just backpedaling, right?
Clearly.
Is it though?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What do you mean it's for the fans?
It's not for fans either. I don't know.
What does that mean?
Well,
I don't know. That means
it's not been made for like fanboys.
Well, this is supposed to finance their next movies, But this movie,
Sure,
yes,
which
you
it
have to throw
will.
in everything, literally the kitchen sink. So when he says it's for fans, not critics, yeah, I mean, it is possible. It has been done before to make a movie which is good and also coherent and also,
It's happened.
It's happened several
Yeah.
times, but and this is everyone's problem, and this is so funny. My brother is a huge Batman fan. This is how we grew up. He hated this film. He's like, dude, they've ruined Batman. They've ruined Superman. And this is something that is on an article on our website also, where the Superman that we know and love, has never been like this. Not conflicted, but he's always been a good person. And the fact that they've not respected the characters in this series, and like in the sense that they've not respected Batman for me, that he didn't uncover this whole plot beforehand was obviously, and it's fine, it's for the plot, it's okay. The fact that they've changed Lex Luthor is not this kind of zany guy. He's supposed to be like the stoic villain, as opposed to the Joker, who's supposed to be this kind of crazy guy, which is why now I'm really interested in how they're going to play off. The other thing is like, the whole killing off of Jimmy Olsen. I know they don't have time to go into story, but just a few things that
I don't know. So I mean, obviously you don't know that he's Jimmy Olsen in the movie.
yeah, they do. It's in the credits.
Is it?
Yeah, his Jimmy Olsen.
He's
and
credited as Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah.
It's Michael
okay.
Cassidy.
I didn't
Yeah,
notice that part.
Yeah, so a few things like that.
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I figured photographer died. I didn't know it was Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I know. And there's
Yeah.
going to be more to that for sure. Okay. The other thing, just, few things that, just don't ring true about what we know as the characters. And I'm okay. Now I'm trying to make my peace with it, saying that this is a new world.
It's a new
it's like
world,
what he
yeah.
says. It's not 1938 anymore, You can't have the Superman which everybody knows and loves as the clean cut, And I like that this is very much like the new 52 of what they've been doing with the
Kind
comics.
of, yes.
It's very reminiscent of Injustice. In fact, there's a whole play on that with the Flashpoint thing happening in this. Yeah, man, and I'm starting to see that maybe this is a very conscious decision not to make their characters originally like that. And I think the fact that it's not, and it's so ironic that Bill Finger is even credited in this movie for the first time as the creator of Batman. It's going away from the original, style of the characters. And I think that's what everyone needs to get with, and it can be very divisive because these are two of the most long-standing characters.
That even though I didn't really like the movie that much at all, I was very much impressed with Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
We did like Ben Affleck, didn't we?
He was good, yes.
Yeah. We'd watch his solo film.
He might be
This
my favorite.
movie is like that dress, which was
Blue-
both black and blue and white and gold. 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone is looking at the same thing, but they've got different opinions. So I was just talking to someone, and I was like, I thought Ben Affleck was kick-ass. And they were like, what are you saying?
Yeah,
He's
that's
terrible.
so true. That's so true.
How does that? I
I've
don't
seen
get
some
it.
really crazy
Yeah.
mixed
We're
reviews.
looking at the same guy, right?
He
I
might,
thought
he
was
might be my
solid.
favorite. He might be my favorite Batman, but I think he's one of the weakest written.
Yeah, he's definitely weakly written.
Which I think says a lot about Ben Affleck.
Which I think
The fact that I really feel he might be my favorite Batman, even though he was a horrible character, horribly created character.
Yeah, and you know what we called this? Like, remember when we did an earlier episode, and I said that what is going to happen is this movie might not be as great as it wants to be, but Batman is going to shine, and hopefully this greenlights his solo flick with him writing and directing it. How excellent would that be?
That would be
because
awesome.
this is like man who's written like the town, and he's
Like,
written
I
Argo
could
and stuff.
so easily see an Argo with Batman.
exactly.
Like,
Just
I mean,
so
exactly the same
nuanced,
vibe
right?
of Argo.
Yeah.
Exactly, he's such
Like
a
some sort of
nuanced writer.
hostage kind of thing, or
He
something
could-
like that.
Yeah, it would be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah. In fact,
Which is one of the reasons I like this movie, I think. It got me finally excited about the prospects of this entire universe, because after Man of Steel, I was
I'm
like,
excited.
this is going to be a disaster like every single movie in this entire, like
Yeah.
the DCEU, as it's called now.
Is it the
But
EU?
Apparently, yeah, the DC Expanded Universe, which is different, the DCCU.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh wow, we have to
Because it's different
Christ.
from the TV universe. And
I
this
see.
movie,
Okay,
it was
interesting.
fun in
As
parts.
opposed to, so they have the
yeah.
DCCU, the DCAU, and now the DCEU.
Yes.
So I have a question about
Kinda
this TV thing. So like I said...
Multiverses.
Multiverse.
multiverse.
That's actually, and they own that stuff,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
So, like I said earlier, Marvel had 12 movies up on them, and they have things like S.H.I.E.L.D. running and whatnot. So now, S.H.I.E.L.D. being for TV, right, to continue the story,
Yeah.
and to deal with any kind of damage.
We spoke about
Yeah,
this.
we know why S.H.I.E.L.D. exists. We don't know why you watch it.
For Jishnu.
It's only for me. It's
Jishnu is
That is
crowdfunding
true.
it secretly on the side. There's a Patreon profile with Jishnu.
It started with I bought one bobblehead and that was like $1 million. I mean, that was like the first season alone. Speaking with this whole TV thing, right? So the fact that they referred to the other Justice League members as meta-humans, which is what they refer to them in Flash as, right? So when this movie kicks off, meta-humans already exist, which was not the case in Man of Steel.
Yeah, because they had to do some quick world building.
Exactly. So they create this world. Now this is assuming you haven't seen Flash. So they build this world where meta-humans are a thing, aliens are among us, Superman is the most powerful of them, but there are other aliens that exist.
Yeah.
And people like Lex have been doing their own private research trying to find them. And so we see about Aquaman and this guy and so on and so forth.
This is you talking about BVS?
BVS, yeah. So Lex has done all this stuff and now he's uncovered these 3 other people that are obviously going to form together and join. So cool.
We have to talk about that at some point. Sorry.
Yeah.
We have to
But my question is, so while Marvel has S.H.I.E.L.D. to like really dig into that, do you think Flash, since it's, I believe, the only one at the moment, along with, actually maybe Arrow as well, Flash and Arrow.
And Supergirl, isn't it?
Flash and Arrow, is Supergirl talking about metahumans?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so great.
And,
So
and
are
Legends.
these-
Anyway, they don't come up specifically, but I mean, it's in the same universe.
So, tell me,
Supergirl and Legends as well.
Flash,
And Legends. And Arrow, yeah.
So Flash is purely about finding metahumans and
It's the most
and dealing
sciencey
with-
show.
Yes.
It's the most science show.
And
which is-
Arrow's the more like supernatural show. That's what
So
it
the thing
is.
is, Flash is in some ways DC's answer to what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, which is setting up the Inhumans thing, setting up their Aliens Among Us world.
Fair, yeah.
So Flash is dealing with metahumans here. So do you think now, since BVS has happened, you're going to see
A TV show?
Not a TV show, but you're going to see the repercussions of BVS in these other shows, which is exactly what happens in the Marvel universe.
No, but they're
You're
not connected.
They're not connected
at all. So they're not going to see any of that.
No multiverse kind of thing of any kind,
nothing.
no
In
two
fact,
Flashes.
I
no
just
nothing.
read
TV universe is
separate.
completely separate from the cinematic universe.
I just read an interview with Zack Snyder, who was talking about
why he didn't
Grant
take Grant
Gustin.
Gustin,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's just like, even if I wanted to, we can't because it's so. I mean, it's
They're
not
just
like
very different shows
tonally
/ movies.
apart from that, and also it's just that they live in a different universe. And then the argument was like, that's the whole point. They have a
I
multiple.
suppose.
Yeah, no, so that's what I mean. It's like,
But
is
I
it
don't
not
think we'll see
plausible to
no
see
repercussions
across
at
at any
all.
point?
No, never. I don't think so. I don't think they will do it just financially also. But just like, it doesn't make, I don't know. I can't see them ever doing it. It's like I still have hopes for Daredevil being in, like these things, like this, not Civil War, but Infinity War. And there's a chance that might happen. But
That's
this
possible.
one is
Yeah.
like, even though I want to see Grant Gustin be Flash because he's the Flash for me, I just can't see it. I mean, I don't see it happening at any point. Because
It's not going to, yes.
it's not going to.
Yeah.
Let's just figure that Ezra Miller is something to deal with. Okay, let's just address the Illustrator files. I didn't like them at all. I thought they were so badly shot. I thought they were so forced and so like... The Flash one, I mean, like, literally a baby could have shot that. I mean, an infant could have written that plot
Two
line.
GoPros and one guy using...
Two GoPros, a guy in a
After
burglary in
Effects,
a delicatessen, really? Like, that's what you came up with?
Yeah.
That's one, okay? Aquaman, what is he posing for the camera for like 3
Yeah.
minutes for?
Yeah, why is he staring the
Before?
camera down? Like, what is this?
And it's not even like a cutaway or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
It's just like him just like floating.
And he's
it's
holding
just
his breath?
And looks like he's holding his breath.
Like,
what the hell? I was just
No.
like, I was complete disappointment there. And the cyborg one was like a full story. It was like the whole, you
like
don't
a
even know cyborg.
sitcom story where like he's building something in the background. There's shit going on.
And apart from the mother box being in it, which was the cool part of it, I mean, it looked so CGI. It looked really fake.
it looked like an episode of Home Improvement.
Yes,
It
that's,
looked like Tim Allen.
that's why I was calling it sitcom.
Yes,
that's so true.
With like some car in the back.
Yeah.
It's a cyborg.
And the other thing was like, I mean, obviously we still love this guy. What's his name from Terminator 2? It was him from Terminator 2. The guy.
Oh,
The
Danny,
father.
Danny, no, not
The
Danny.
father who has Skynet. I can't remember his
Put
name.
that together.
The Skynet guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Miles Dawson.
Dawson. Dawson.
Yeah,
So,
I forget his name, but yeah, Dawson.
So, Dyson.
Dyson.
Yeah, I
Miles
think it's Dyson.
Oh,
I
whatever.
want to go with Dyson.
Cool.
But yeah, he was there in it, and it was like in like 30 seconds they did this cyborg movie.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why? Is that the folder that you got for Cyborg, but you couldn't get one for the Flash? I don't know. It was like, seemed like it seemed really all very convenient as hell.
The whole movie was convenient.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only thing which was cool was the Wonder Woman picture. Which was cool
quite
because
cool.
you can
That was
see
cool.
Chris Pine in it.
Yeah,
so
I
it was
really
nice.
like the Wonder Woman thing. Was
And you
cool.
know what? Like in Agent Carter, we might actually see how that photograph was taken in the movie when it comes out.
Yeah.
That would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
I loved stuff like that, but I did not like any of those other three. And I just thought that was so. It was so contrived. Oh my gosh!
It was definitely very contrived. And
Yeah, terrible. I'm sorry. You know, these are the moments which make me reconsider. I was like, was there somebody really smart writing this film or really dumb as hell? Like, you know, there's some moments which are like quite cool. I really love the whole, you know, the painting in his, you know, in his dad's room, and he says, you know, demons don't come from, you know, they come from the sky. I was like, okay, fine, the writing is cool, but it's also because, you know. At first I thought it was like about Batman, but then I was like, oh, you know, there's these parademons which so I think he's talking about Darkseid, which we'll now talk about Darkseid. So nobody knows, apart from nerds who watch movies and are heavily invested in it, don't know that Darkseid was a big part of this movie, but is just not addressed in any way, like Thanos was, like at least at the end, you know that there's somebody behind this. The very end of the movie, Lex Luthor says, at that really cool scene where the Batman enters the prison,
ding, ding.
I thought that was great. I thought it was such a Batman thing to do. See, that's what I love. When Batman does Batman things, that's cool, right? Not when he does stupid things that, you know, other characters would do who are not as smart as Batman. Right?
So what I think is, before we get to Darkseid,
Yeah.
I think just a lot of moments worked for me, which overall, I think just my enjoyment of those moments make me
we've
feel like I
trashed
like
a
the
few
movie.
things,
Though,
yeah.
if you look at the whole, this movie, the parts individually are better than the sum of the
Definitely,
parts.
definitely, yeah.
And I think those parts were
What was your
just
favorite-
about good enough for me
favorite
to like
part?
this movie.
Favorite part?
What were your favorite moments
a
from
bunch
this
of
film?
stuff. The
Completely
fight,
out of context.
completely out of context. The fight, for
okay,
sure.
the fight, in
Like
general.
right from the start,
Which
when
fight?
he hits Superman with the. That's true. The Batman v Superman fight.
The toilet, the kitchen sink
The
one.
one
fight.
that ends with the
As
kitchen
of now,
sink.
it shall
But
forever be
I
known as
liked
the
how it
kitchen sink
started
fight.
with the sound waves, which is again like
Yeah.
a reference to something he does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
For sure,
yeah.
definitely, yeah.
And yeah, also, like, I mean, like you're finally seeing that he has a plan and he's not just going like, "Oh my god, I don't like that guy."
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
part, a
yes.
couple of moments in the. One of the things I really liked right from the start was how they redid the Man of Steel climax. Like, it felt like that was a better version of the entire last third of Man of Steel.
You know what it reminded me of? Have you seen Josh Trank's Chronicle? And if you watch Chronicle, it's exactly like how you would watch the Man of Steel fight, or like basically Superman fighting a thing, but from a third-person perspective.
Is that the one which is like it's all them shooting
It's,
themselves? and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Really
I've seen
cool.
that.
Definitely much worse. But yeah, Chronicle was the only good movie Josh Trank has done, actually. Not counting Fantastic Four.
I won't deny
I
it.
don't
I mean,
think
like
he does either.
this movie had a lot of like
Yeah,
like I said,
Batman
visual,
running into-
beautifully like that opening section, the whole opening.
Except, you
thing
know,
was-
like he
it
calls
was-
that guy, and he's like, get everybody out of the building.
Which
yeah,
doesn't
like you
make
didn't
sense.
know.
It was
to do
great
that
to
at the beginning.
watch. It was great to watch.
It was
but
great
that was
to watch,
about it.
yes.
I mean, that was about it.
Yeah.
It ended with on a one-dimensional level. This looks
Very,
beautiful.
yeah.
That it ended there for me. Like
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I'm not gripped into this, but like it looks
Looks
cool.
great. Yeah, looks great.
Which is like Zack Snyder's MO.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it seemed like
to be
it
his
seemed like that
only
was all
MO.
he was
Yeah.
going for. Yeah. But
I mean, the whole. Okay, here's my crazy fan theory. Do you want to hear it?
What is that?
Okay, cool. So, you know, I've been thinking about these dream sequences and why they come up so randomly throughout the entire film. And it's a weird theory. It's probably not true. But I was thinking about this whole, you know, intro sequence and why they put it in. And I was, it's for Martha, and, you know, you want to establish that the name is that. But here's my cool theory. Now, you know, like how Vibe gets the, you know, in The Flash, he gets things of another parallel timeline that could have happened. Yeah. So I was thinking that, you know, we see this excellent moment, which I really want to talk about, which is the Flash entering his screen and saying, "Oh, it's not him."
Yeah.
I was like, that was completely out of the blue. I was so shocked, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is my favorite part of the whole movie." It was my favorite part because I was like, if this is the direction that they're going to take the movie in, and it's not the Doomsday thing, that would have like screwed everyone.
kick-ass,
It would have been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I still think they might do it. Obviously, in the Justice League, it's a two-parter. What I feel is like something's gonna happen. Obviously, Lois Lane is going to die. I feel Flash is going to become an important point of it, and basically everything that we've seen so far is like a remnant of another kind of thing. And here's my theory: Jeffrey Dean Morgan will play Batman, but the Thomas Wayne Batman, because that timeline has been changed. I don't know if you've seen Flashpoint or the animated version Flashpoint Paradox, but I feel like, they cast these two really good characters as, Martha and Thomas Wayne. I was like, it would be awesome to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan play a Thomas Wayne Batman, because in that version of events, Bruce dies, and these two are basically, Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, this really drunken billionaire, and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. So I always thought that even if they did that as a visual thing or later on, they have this thing kind of ready, kind of set for them, and I feel like the dark side thing will play into. I think the Flashpoint could become like a big part of Justice League Part 1, and maybe Justice League Part 2 could, be the correction of it. Because there's a lot of injustice stuff happening in this film. Especially, after the New 52, even like, there's no Martian Manhunter anymore, there's no Green Lantern, so they've revised that lineup. It's these guys. The Flash has already made an appearance in this film. I don't know, man. That whole thing of him coming and saying, Lois, he would write about him. She's the key. Why put that in otherwise, man? It seems...
Yeah, no, that definitely has to be... There are a lot of little things like that were not so subtle that have definitely got to be answered later on. And
so I don't know if that dark side future will happen. Because
future?
Basically you saw the little Om sign in the desert as Darkseid's and basically they've modeled the entire... It looks like Apocalypse.
Yes.
I think the fact that this world is starting off with Batman having seen some shit
in the beginning, right at the start.
No, not at the start.
This
I mean, old Batman. Like,
the depth of...
I did like that.
He will, I think, definitely play some sort of Yoda-esque figure to the Justice League, because he's the only one alongside Wonder Woman, definitely alongside Wonder Woman, who's seen hundreds of years.
In fact, you could have seen the original Waynes,
absolutely.
Become,
But the thing is, Wonder Woman kind of like, she went underground. Batman has been in the thick of it. So there will definitely be moments in movies to come where he's going to be like, listen, youngins, let me sit you down and tell you, I know how these guys work. He's going to
be his grumpy old self. Yeah,
he'll be his grumpy, which will be great. And so I think stuff like this can easily get dropped and referenced and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely.
Which it will. Yeah, it was in this movie as well. There was just like the entire the death in the family thing with the Robin outfit.
So one of my favorite lines from this movie, in fact, was that when he's like, Jeremy Irons is like, Alfred's like, yeah, but he's not our enemy. And he's just like, and I thought this was a good way to kind of defend what he's thinking. He's just like, 20 years we've been in this town. How many good people are left? How many people stayed that way? You know? So I just thought that was a great, maybe, I don't know, it's Jason Todd maybe becoming, something, the Red Hood. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Or just like good guys going bad, something like that. It seems like, that felt really right. And I felt like if that had more of that kind of stuff in the movie, it could totally defend Batman's crazy notion to kind of end this guy.
I'm assuming, so this entire movie is really us being thrown into this universe like in media res. A bunch of stuff has happened and a bunch of stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
Before we even get to Justice League, there is Suicide Squad this year.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's Wonder Woman. So I think Suicide Squad is... I don't know how they're going to react to the events of this.
Where does it even sit in the timeline? I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably before this
because the Joker's around.
The Joker, I mean, the only thing that we know is that Batman is there in as a cameo, and he's the one who's going to probably put him, incarcerate him, and that's when he finds himself in jail, etc., etc. So I think that's what we're going to see, and where he makes Harley Quinn, yeah? So, yeah, I think that's where it's going to begin. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to play it out, but it's going to be good, man. I'm actually excited.
I think that's why I'm kind of excited by this movie, because I'm like, there's so much to like just watch and find out.
I think it's, I'll tell you what I love about the DC universe right now is that it's unconventional. Yeah. And it's like, it's so dark and so brooding and it's so not Marvel that, and we've seen 8 years of Marvel, right? From 2008 when Iron Man came out. We've seen 8 years of their movies. I'm ready to watch something really off the like beaten path. Like, so it's like
there is something to be said about the fact that, I mean, I think we're all guilty of this, that as fans, having only seen Marvel do this, really.
Yeah, that's true.
But seeing 8 years of Marvel doing this, we now feel like we know how it should be done, because we've seen Marvel do it, and we didn't have a clue what we were looking at when Marvel was doing it. But that's why it was so like, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this before. And now we've seen only one thing, but one thing that's been done very well.
Yeah.
So now we're like, hey, You're making ice cream too, and what do you mean it's not chocolate?
Yeah,
What the
exactly.
hell is this tutti
Yeah.
frutti thing? That's not
though
ice
really
cream.
poor.
DC is like
They're like the
most
dark
anti-
chocolate.
It's
Yeah.
demented
Yeah.
tutti frutti.
Yeah.
You don't know
but-
what you're getting. It's a little
And
bit
you know,
of-
and there's obviously it's a big player in the game. DC Comics still has the wealth of characters to build an equally, if
The
not
fact
bigger,
is they
universe.
have Batman and Superman.
The two biggest.
Who
Yeah.
are like.
Ah, well,
yeah.
the actually, you know, the biggest.
Before Iron Man's movie.
No, so
he
it's the
wasn't-
biggest movie. The biggest characters, comic book characters I know are definitely Batman's number one, and Spider-Man is
Spider-Man,
actually
yes.
it's
who is
definitely,
now
yeah.
in the Marvel universe. So
Yeah.
I don't know for that.
Yeah.
What I like about the DC universe is it's very comic booky.
It's very comic book.
In a way that most people don't realize comic books are, which is like this, like they're dark, they're brooding, and they're also like ridiculous, and they're also like
They're ridiculous.
pulpy as hell.
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
I mean, any Frank Miller Batman story is just it's
Especially,
nuts.
especially
Yeah,
Returns.
especially,
Man.
yeah.
Returns is so crazy.
I
Year
mean,
one still has
yeah.
some sense to it, but like
Yeah, and year one is still like it kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's when it
it's
just
more
starts
realistic.
out and
Exactly,
yeah,
it's way more realistic.
But
Dark
I
Knight
mean,
Returns.
like,
Yeah.
Dark Knight Returns is just like he's walking
Zany.
around like broody as shit.
Yeah, Sons of Batman,
So, yeah.
crazy man. It's a crazy storyline for sure, and he's
If
taken
that was
so
a
much
movie,
from it.
I mean, if the entire BVS movie was just that story, we'd be like, "What is this?"
Yeah, what
well,
is
maybe
this?
not
Yeah.
us, but people who see it.
I agree.
I mean, coming without any
It's true.
idea.
It's a very fair point. That you know, it's very true in saying that. Yeah, we're literally being thrust into this universe, and I don't know. There's a great line in the Suicide Squad trailer. Amanda Waller, who's actually a big player, is going to come up. She says, you know, it's like basically the Man of Steel showed up, and he kind of shine a light on like all the weird dark parts, and now they're all coming back out, you know, of the shadows. And this is like a crazy time to be part of the DC universe, which is why they've kind of skipped ahead
Yeah.
into that moment. And it's totally plausible that Batman has been operating for so much time. So I can totally see it happening. And it's so weird. The more I talk about it, I'm really excited about the DC universe. Yes, there are some inexcusable things in this
Yes,
film, though. There are
I think this movie is eventually going to be just a bunch of like
moments. Yeah,
moments that led to something that hopefully is great.
Let's hope it ends
hope,
well
yeah.
in the long run.
don't
But hey,
know.
look at my wrist.
There's no
Look at the
watch.
time.
Should we
It's
take
been a
a-
lot of time. We should
Let's
take a break
Let's
and
take
then
a short break, and we'll come back
do
and talk
some-
about some more stuff
random stuff.
and talk about Junkie XL.
Break.
Hi, I'm Amit Gurbaksani.
I'm Purva Mehra.
And I'm Pranoti Datta, and we're from a city website called the Daily Pow, and we have a new podcast called The Powcast. So you can listen to us on the Indus Rock SoundCloud page, as well as iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Okay, we're back with the Geek Fruit podcast. We're
You
not
thought
done
we
yet.
were done?
We're not.
We're never done.
Yeah, and neither is the DC universe,
Oh.
man. Or the expanded
We should
universe,
be
as they're
done.
calling it.
This is gone
Yeah,
for
so
way
I
too-
want to just discuss the ending right now and what that means for the rest of it. Not that we haven't done that
So we're
already.
going into like spoiler territory.
Well,
What?
I mean,
we already have.
We already have.
Superman
No.
dies in the end.
Yeah.
So I've heard that I've heard that they've been trying to kill Superman off in the last
Yeah.
4 movies, but they haven't, because how do you kill Superman? The only way to kill Superman and do it legitimately is to have Doomsday, which they did. Didn't enjoy it. The death of Superman is so easily retconned, you know, that they couldn't even finish the movie and just get him
And
back.
again,
you know?
this my problem was it was
Yeah.
dealt with in such a cheesy fashion. I was actually very excited when I saw he pierces him with a spear, and I was like, "Is he gonna die? Is he gonna die? No, he's not gonna die. They're not gonna do that. They don't have the balls." I was like, "They don't have the balls to do that." And then you see him like faint. I was like, "Okay, he's fainted. Is he really dead? He's not really dead, is he?" And then I see the grave. I was like, "Oh, wow." He's dead. But wait a minute. Is the movie over? It's not really over. It's not. There's still more to come. They're going to bring him back. And then, the
Montage at the
story
end, yeah.
changes to a different, to different characters, and the story continues on, and they forget about the grave. I was like, wow, they're really killing him. And then the final shot is the grave. I was like, wait a minute. Don't you dare pan down. Don't you you're panning down. You're focused. Oh my God. I was like, you had me for like 2 minutes. I had...
That's
this
all they wanted you for, Jishnu.
but in such a stupid way, like
But,
the stupid
you know, so
like
at least-
focus on like rocks and
No,
like
no,
yeah,
but I thought
float. And I'm like,
at least it was
come
consistent
on.
in the way that Superman exists. Like in the first movie when he takes off for the first time, the whole elevator. So I thought that was okay. I did like the little the homage to the death of Superman from the comics. Again, that's not my favorite comic by any means. Okay, because it was a good fight, but there's no emotional. I found like the death of Superman has no emotional connect. That's that comic book, because Doomsday is such a physical villain. That was the only thing that could really kill him. Though my favorite death of Superman has been in a Man for All Seasons. Is that what it's called? A Superman for All Seasons. Yeah.
Okay.
And in that, the Lex Luthor kills off Superman, and that's because he tricks him by making him go too close to the sun, which is a line that was dropped in this movie for no reason. I don't know, there was a lot of allegory going on, which was kind of convoluted. But yes, he tricks him into going too close to the sun. Because of that, he absorbs too much radiation, like solar, and because of that, he cannot exist anymore, because he's just become like Neo. He can see everything, he dies. Ultimately, he gives a formula to Lex Luthor to reconstitute him, which is great. So I thought that was a really emotional death, because Lex Luthor sees the error of his ways by readying himself for Superman. Doomsday has never been the coolest way to end Superman. In this, too, it was just,
Okay, so I may be alone in this thought, but I really don't. When I watch these movies or watch a TV show or watch whatever that's based on these comics, I couldn't care less about paying homage to or being true to a pre-existing story.
No, I
because
agree
when I read a comic, so when I read Batman 1 or Batman 2 or Batman 503, I don't care about any of the previous Batmans, because this is a brand new story, right? Now, Batman may die, Batman may, find a twin brother, he might do whatever the hell happens, but I treat them as an individual thing. And yes, when these movies are made, they know that there are millions of people out there, maybe even tens or hundreds of millions of people that are aware of these characters' pre-existing stories and other comic book iterations.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you can give all the nods you want, you can slyly wink to this and Easter egg that and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't care if, in one comic, Mr. X kills this guy or Mr. Y kills this guy. The story as it stands in this movie needs to stand on its own 2 feet, regardless of what came before it and
what comes after
it.
Yeah, I agree.
So if they want to, I think if they, Marvel, DC, whoever it is, if they want to do something that will last, they shouldn't worry too much at all about what's happened previously. And I think the only extent to which they should pay any attention to what's happened in previous iterations of the stories is, by the way, just so you know that we've read this thing, we're going to drop a thing like Fly Too Close to the Sun. And end it there. Like, don't be...
But
they shouldn't feel like on a leash
by your own admission,
by other comics.
That we cannot view these movies anymore like that. Man, we can't watch...
We can't
watch...
But you need... But I think it takes some balls to, write your own story and, just let it be your own thing. It can
but
suck.
I feel like that's what BVS did, where it's just throw in a reference to something here.
I agree. I think they did. I think they did try their own thing. It didn't work.
Having said that,
but I appreciate you trying.
But killing
to
off Superman at the end bore zero emotional weight, because they have not preceded the story by saying that Superman is this really good guy, because it was all conflicted about whether we like Superman or not, and when he's dead, it's suddenly everybody loves him.
But the thing is, his death was not the only thing that was emotionless. The entire movie.
Everything.
That is true.
So I think
emotionless is a good way of putting it.
There's nothing about this movie that compelled me.
And here's the other thing, though, we can't watch these movies anymore. The world has changed, the viewing medium has changed.
Isolation.
We cannot watch them in isolation. We are not supposed to, because we know what we're so cognizant of the franchise building, the very obvious franchise building that's happening. We know that this, by merely adding a subtitle to a film like Dawn of Justice, Dawn being the critical word here, it just implies that yes, there's going to be more than this. If this movie bombed, there was going to be a sequel, there's going to be a repercussion or something. In fact, this whole movie is a repercussion of the first movie. So we cannot watch these movies in isolation. We can't expect to watch any Marvel movie, like we were just talking about in the last episode, like how Daredevil plays out. I mean, they know there's going to be another season, so we don't have to answer all the questions right now. But you're right, man. If you look at the Nolan series, every movie stands individually by itself, and they're also all connected. So
I think
it is possible.
If they move on, they shouldn't reference any story about anybody in that character. Just make your own damn story. These characters are great. You have a pretty good understanding of them. Run with it. But
that's what Kevin Feige actually always said about his films. He's like, I need to make sure every movie is a movie by itself and it works. And then, that's how it started, right? One tiny after credits scene, which this movie did not have, obviously. I just love to watch the noobs sit in their seats waiting for the end while I casually walk to the cinema. No, but I mean, and just by adding that one scene with Nick Fury at the end, they suddenly presented a possibility, which then made itself into the this new world, which is the Avengers. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I think if it is possible, they should strive to do it. Make every movie an individual good movie, because Wonder Woman showing up at Superman's funeral at the end, it didn't make sense. You knew him for 2 minutes. You didn't know anything about him. Why are you here?
I'm sure she knew a lot about him. He's Superman, and she's been
but they don't know him. it's fine. Okay, they totally became BFFs after
did,
they said Martha
they
Kent,
did.
so that's why he's there. But like the other thing is like, yeah, there's zero emotional. It's like how, like the thing that bugged me about The Force Awakens, and there is such a thing, when Chewbacca casually walks past, you know, General Leia at the
and
end.
he admitted to that fault, like as an oversight. He admitted to that. It was
I
like
thought
just a blatant
he
oversight.
explained it as he was worried about.
Oh yeah.
He still
admit
Because
to it?
I thought I read something where he like admitted like
Maybe he did both. Maybe he said that's what I thought he would do, and it didn't make sense in retrospect.
Speaking of JJ, lots of lens flares in this movie.
there
Totally
were a
annoyed me.
lot of lens flares.
many.
Totally
So many
annoyed me.
lens flares.
Annoyed me a lot.
Speaking of JJ.
Yeah.
Speaking-
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
So,
Hey, JJ's given up on lens flares, man.
last thing. What did you think of Wonder Woman? I liked her.
I liked her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good with her, right?
Yeah,
we're
we're
good
good.
to watch her solo film.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought, I think a large part of it is the woman who plays her, Gal Gadot. Is that how you say it?
Gal Gadot?
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot.
Gal
Okay.
Gadot. Yeah.
So, I think it's her because Wonder Woman really doesn't have much of a role. She's in a couple of parties and then she...
She's just turning up these parties.
yeah.
And there's that other
Wonder Woman's
unexplained
been
party,
alright,
right?
huh?
The one where the sword is saying it's a fake. And he's like, okay, but where are we? How did you find it?
How many parties do you go to?
Yeah.
But
Amazing.
she really pulled it off. I thought she was really
Yeah.
good.
She was good. And I
Because
like
again,
that.
she didn't have
It's
many
like how-
lines.
yeah.
She didn't have many lines. She's like, I'm here. I'm going to be badass. I'm going to get on this Turkish Airlines flight. I'm going to get off and check an email. And then
Which
I'm
is
going to
nice.
kill.
I think so. Like casting Ben Affleck, casting her, good moves.
Good moves, yeah.
Yes,
Casting was on.
Casting was on.
Yeah, pretty much. I like the Arkham inspired stuff also. It was like a very Arkham series inspired.
Hey, speaking
by
of
Batman.
speaking of casting,
Yeah.
slight tangent. Henry Cavill has been teased with being given the role of Bond.
Yeah, I heard.
So
I heard
he
about
was
that.
he
I
was
didn't know
he was
that.
the second choice after Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
So it was between the two of them, and now that Craig is done, and he's on the up and up.
Wow, can you be?
How would you
Bond
yeah.
and Superman?
That is the big question.
How much cooler can you get?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
like
JJ does.
that's hogging a lot of attention, but
They wouldn't even. They wouldn't. It's like doesn't
Would you-
make
do you
any
like the
sense.
idea?
Of Henry Cavill being Bond? No,
Yeah.
he was already Bond in Man of Uncle. I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
And I don't know.
That's true.
I
I
think
haven't
he's a
seen that, though, but
little.
I know
I
what
mean, they've had like a stoic Superman, and a stoic Bond in Daniel Craig.
They need to go back to the
like
suave.
maybe a more fun, pulpy one.
But that's what he was in
Or
Man of
Idris
Uncle.
Elba.
Idris Elba is the Bond for me, man. Like, yeah, ethnicity besides the point. Yeah, he could add something to that role which Daniel Craig
Yeah,
obviously
that dude's
did
a
not
champ.
have. Yeah, he's crazy good, man.
Jungle Book.
Yeah, excited for the Hindi version.
Yeah,
Good cast.
which is
Good
rare.
cast. Yeah, good cast, seriously. Like Nasruddin Shah and all that stuff.
Idris Elba plays a lion in Zootopia, and he plays a tiger in Jungle Book.
And he plays both in real life.
Yes.
There you go. Speaking of which,
And that's been our podcast.
Idris Elba plays Luther. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to random news. Since this was quite a random. Should we have any
we
today?
don't.
We didn't have any last week as well. Jishnu.
We did? Didn't we?
We
I
did.
have
just
one piece of random news.
I
That's
have-
good.
I have one, yeah.
Random news.
News generator.
Go for it, Dinkar.
In the new Turtles movie, Fred Armisen will
He's
play Krang.
Yeah, I just heard about that.
Awesome.
That is so
good.
cool.
That's
right?
really cool.
Because I love Fred Armisen.
He's the best.
And you know what?
What's the name of Krang's body?
It's just Krang.
What's it called?
He's
just
Krang.
the whole thing is
He's the
Krang.
brain in the body, right?
He's the brain inside that body.
No,
it doesn't have a. thing.
In the cartoon, he would talk to the body in like in the third person, be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Oh no, you're malfunctioning. Yeah, the turtles again. Yeah,
That is a spot on.
I didn't
why
realize that.
don't you do
Yeah,
anything
that's-
about it?" Anyway,
And
but
yeah, the
exciting.
I didn't know the body had a name. It's
You know,
I
possible.
don't, maybe it doesn't have a name,
Yeah,
but
it
like he
doesn't have a
yells at the body a lot.
Yeah,
when
that's
the
true.
turtles like cut a wire.
Yeah.
He's like, damn it, I can't use my arms anymore.
Oh man,
Man,
I'm
no.
excited. I think so. He's Krang Prime because this is based
Is
on the
he a
Nickelodeon
Transformer?
series.
Okay.
No, so Krang Prime is there's basically the whole clan of these Krangish kind of beings, and they're all within bodies. And he's the leader, saying he's Krang Prime. So I think that because it's completely based on the Nickelodeon series, which I really liked. First season was great, and Fred Armisen, and I hope they have the Technodrome. That would be so cool.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
just the Death Star on wheels.
It's the Death Star on wheels.
It's so good.
So good, and the
Okay,
mutagen.
so my random news is actually a little distressing. Saw this last night. Dominic Monaghan, yeah, played Merry or Pippin. I always get them confused. In Lord of the Rings, also on Lost as the lead singer
Is
of
he
Drive
the
Shaft.
one in just gonna stand and watch me. Love to See You Lie. The
I have
Eminem
no idea.
music video with
Rihanna. Actually,
TMNT.
might
What's her
be
name?
in that
Megan
movie.
Fox. Yeah, she's also there in it.
Oh yeah, I've never seen this video.
Yeah. They're
Though,
both,
I
and
mean,
they're
like, the
passionately
song-
making out, and I was like, wow. But this Hobbit went a long way.
So just so we're clear, he is the Hobbit. He's not the guy that says, "What about second breakfast?" He's the
What about
other
second
Hobbit.
breakfast?
He's the other Hobbit, the big-nosed Hobbit.
Who's the smart one or the foolish one?
Which one is which?
So, fool of a took. That's Peregrine.
That's Pippin.
yeah,
He's not. He's
Pippin's
married.
a fool.
Peregrine took-
He's married.
He's married. So
He's
Mary
not
is the
Pippin.
smart one.
Yes. All right.
Mary.
He plays Mary. So saw last night. It's now I saw this was like a TMZ article. So I don't know how reliable these sources are, but
TMZ.
it said that he has had a stalker for like I think maybe years, definitely
Since
months.
Lord of the Rings, probably.
Who tweeted at him? Crap! How am I blanking on this? Oh shit! What's the name of the guy? Oh,
And it was me.
what was his name?
Jishnu tells all.
Who killed who? John Lennon.
Mark David
Mike
Chapman.
David Chapman.
That
Mark.
was the tweet.
Mark. Who, by the way,
that was the-
was played by Jared Leto.
That was
Yeah.
the whole tweet was just his name. And so this guy's been stalking him for years. He's got a
That's
restraining order. He broke the
scary.
restraining order.
That's scary.
So now he's scared, as he should be, that this guy
That he
is
will
going
be-
to kill him.
But if it elevates him to
So-
the level of John Lennon, I'd take that.
What good is it if you're dead?
That's
Yeah.
also true.
You're
John
going to
Lennon-
be 27
John
in a few
Lennon
months.
more
I can
famous
kill
after
you,
he was dead
I
or
can
before
kill
he was
you on
dead?
your birthday when you
What?
turn 27
Of
if that's
course,
one,
I
if you want to
mean-
be in the club.
He's
No,
John
one second,
Lennon.
one
Because of
second. These are fair questions to ask.
It is
more famous
not.
before death or after death?
John Lennon, of course, he was a Beatle, dude.
Yeah, but we've had
after-
more
okay.
years after he was dead.
After he
than
was
when-
dead, the internet was
Unfortunately, but-
invented. After he was dead, the internet was invented. He got as famous as he was via just newspaper and snail mail.
Fair enough.
So
So-
we've got Paul McCartney around, and everybody
Yeah.
loves Paul McCartney.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't love Paul McCartney? Yeah, that's true.
Same with John Lennon, man. He was huge before he died.
But we can't ask who doesn't like John Lennon, but Mark David Chapman.
Clearly.
But yeah.
Actually, no, he was a huge fan of John Lennon, and he
That's
thought
true, yeah,
John
yeah,
was
if you
telling
watch-
him to kill him.
Chapter 27. There's that
Yeah,
movie,
I've seen that movie.
There are two
But yeah,
movies on
so
it, by the way.
think happy thoughts for Mr. Monahan.
Yeah,
that's a little-
that's some dark news.
That was, yeah. I was not expecting to see that on my newsfeed. So
All right. Cool.
let's hope that doesn't.
I'm going to
End up.
finish this with my random news. It's not actually random, and it's part of our episode. There was a deleted scene from this movie which just surfaced,
Yeah, I saw that.
which features a character from Apocalypse, which is the planet which Darkseid inhabits. I have saw the clip just before this episode. I don't know what the hell is going on
It
with
is-
that.
He was playing with those cubes.
With the
They
mother
shouldn't
box.
have put it out.
They shouldn't have. It just raises more.
See, horrible
They
marketing
should've-
before, horrible
Yes,
marketing
that's
after.
true. Definitely.
Oh gosh, but it is interesting, like, you know, for nerds, I guess, and maybe that's why Ben Affleck says that he's more for
Is
fans.
it? It seems to be annoying nerds. Where we're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
How much did you leave out of this movie?
It's just
that Jenna
what does any
Malone
of this
arc
mean?
also, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I'm curious to see that. Oh well.
Which,
So
by the
let's
way,
rate this
the
movie.
entire
Did
like
you,
the
did you
dark
like
side.
this movie? Damn it. So strange that even beside, you know, despite all of this stuff, like, this was alright, man. Like, I still kind of like, but it's because we're nerds. I don't know. For the layman, I can see why. There are more
See
lame
why
people. Why the world hated this movie?
yeah.
Because there are more laymen than nerds out there, and even nerds didn't like this movie. So that's why Rotten Tomatoes got a 40% or 30% rating.
It was like the nerd thing is like they're just pandering in like these random things. Like
Yeah.
the stupid deleted scene. Like who the hell puts out a deleted scene for a movie like less than a week after it's out?
yeah.
So true, right?
Like you're literally
I-
trying to
I
say,
don't even
hey,
know
no,
why
no,
they did it.
Just so you know, we had good intentions. Like this thing that we didn't put in. Like I don't give a crap.
it's
you didn't put it in. That's
maybe
all
in that
matters.
sense, yeah, backpedaling seems to be the.
They're completely backpedaling.
Yeah.
It's just
I
pandering
feel
to the
Why
audience.
though? They made enough money. I mean, that's all.
Because they want to sell Blu-rays.
I mean,
They want you to
Maybe,
buy the Blu-ray
that's
so you can
true.
see that.
I mean, he
it's-
can pretty much rebuild the like Wayne Manor with that money.
My best
was
hope for this
destroyed.
movie really is that where maybe like 4 or 5 years in the future, when there's been a bunch of DC movies
You
out,
think
we
it's-
look back at this and go like, yeah, it's okay. It was just like one of the first movies in this pretty
Series.
neat thing.
You
that
think
we
it's
have
going to
happening.
become cult or something?
Maybe.
so
because
I- to
become
I
cult,
really
I
don't
think.
think it deserves the amount of hate it's getting, and a lot of it probably is the marketing before and after, which might not have as much of an impact
Yeah.
3 years down the line. So,
We have
yeah.
to say that we have been very forgiving, I think, from this movie. There's a lot which cannot be excused in this.
that
film.
is true.
Yeah.
But
Marketing
but
being
on
the number
that,
one thing.
this podcast is getting about as long as that movie was.
I know.
I
2.5
feel like we
hours.
should.
Hey, look out for the extended cut of
Yeah.
this
The
podcast.
deleted scenes.
No, what is it
Director's-
called?
director's
Ultimate
cut.
cut?
The what?
No,
It's going to be called Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Ultimate Cut.
Jesus
The
Christ.
definitive version.
Well done.
This is it. Or
or the next movie. No. That's not
Who has that petition out against Zack Snyder?
Anirudh.
Yeah. So
He said he petitioned for Zack Snyder to not direct Justice League.
Yeah.
Which I think is not a bad
idea
not a
at
bad
all.
idea. Purely because while I would love to see Zack Snyder take on the Justice League, I would
not
love
love to see it.
to watch George Miller do it like
Yeah,
he was
that'd be
supposed to.
that's the real thing about DC.
Yeah.
They've put everything in Zack Snyder's hands. Marvel never did that.
And yes, there's your executive producer Nolan and Emma Thomas. Well,
I
didn't
don't know
anything.
what they do,
They
but
basically
like-
they looked at us like, and they went.
Yeah.
You can send my check to my
Marvel
house.
could easily have done that with Jon Favreau, considering like he pretty much, I mean,
He
he's
started
a
it.
giant reason for the
Yeah.
entire tone
true.
of the
The
MCU
tone.
and stuff.
Yeah.
But they went like, all right, you're done. I mean, they
We'll
didn't
keep-
go like,
we'll
you're
keep
done.
this, thanks.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, man.
So true.
Go make Jungle Book.
Yeah, and oh gosh, so much about this movie that is just so wrong, but still feels like it's different and it's new and exciting that we can still watch it. Cool.
But anywho, if you have things to say to us,
Yeah, please
be
mail
it
us.
BVS related or not, or happy thoughts related, or qualms, question marks, and commas
Yeah.
in between the sentence. That's because
Got
that's where
it.
commas live. You can
At Geek Fruit HQ on social media.
What he
Contact geekfruit@gmail.com.
That also.
Or our primary source for everything is geekfruit.in. It's a cool website. Check it out.
Yeah, come talk to us.
Yep. See ya.
bye.
Bye.
Hey Jishnu, are you thirsty?
I'm always thirsty.
This has another meaning, by the way, the word. But I know we enjoy our beer.
I'm also adventurous.
Are you adventurous and you like beer?
I'm adventurous for beer.
And are you a cheap guy?
I do this show with you.
Yeah.
So
Then you will definitely love Adventures of Cheap Beer with 3 people who get drunk doing the podcast, which is actually pretty cool.
we
concept.
should do that.
Yeah, we kind of do the opposite, which is we get drunk the previous night and then we do the podcast the next day. So this is in the moment. They get drunk and they speak, and it's a great podcast. And it's done by Siddhant Mehta, Suyash Barve, and Karan Agarwal. The first 2 actually who are friends of mine from like way back. So they're really cool people, and they just review these really seedy joints in Bombay. So you should check them out on ivmpodcast.com.
This sounds like a great time.
Yes.
Do it.